Hello, it's Anna Kimani again. I'm back. We continue looking at this very crucial topic on how parents or guardians you could support the students or children under your care to get the best out of their education, and also for you students to get the best out of your schooling. And reminding you, we said that the student, you spend a lot of your time in school, right from very young age to being young adults, and therefore it's good to get the best out of it. So today we are going to continue, and mainly we shall be looking at the parent side of it, the guardian side of it, and reminding you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I've covered a number of videos now highlighting on this area, and it's good to follow up if you have missed anything. So once you subscribe, then you'll be getting notifications so that you don't miss out. So going back now to look at this area that mainly touches on the parents and the guardians, I'll start with a bit of recap on what we have covered before, because it's part of what we are looking at today. Because you see, this is whether I'm talking about parents and guardians or the students themselves. At one point, when I'm talking about the students, I'll talk about the parents and guardians. Also, when I'm talking about the parents and guardians, I'll talk about the students or the children themselves. So the first thing as parents and guardians is ensuring that the children or the young people under your care go to bed on time the previous night. If it is for the very young children, parents and guardians, ensure that they go to bed on time. And for the young adults or the adolescents or the teenagers, encourage them to go to bed on time so that they'll be able to be more productive the following day when they go to school, or even if they're at home, to be able to catch up with maybe their revision or any other work that they are doing. For the students who are in boarding school, of course, they have got the staff, the leadership in school or the staff in school who are responsible for that, to ensure that the students go to bed on time the previous night in order to be ready for the following day. Okay, so the students have gone to bed on time, and in the morning, ensure that they wake up as well on time. And we said the last lesson, depending on the mode of transport and how far the school is or the time they're supposed to be in school. And we mentioned that it is very important if the students could be in school at least 10 to 15 minutes before the school starts or before the lesson starts. If you refer back to the video that I did a few weeks ago, highlighting on how students could make the best out of the school day, you're going to recap on that and get whatever I'm telling you now in details. So that's why it's important to subscribe so that you don't miss anything. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Anna Kimani, to get all the updates. So they go to bed on time, they wake up on time, and when they wake up on time, ensure that they get refreshed, take a shower, or the best way that they get refreshed to be ready for the day. Let them be smartly dressed. And we said that when they are smartly dressed, it will build their confidence. Even if it's school uniform, they'll gain that confidence when they're smartly dressed and also when they are smelling good, smelling nice as they go to school because they have been refreshed. Also make sure they eat properly in the morning and they drink well as well to be hydrated. And depending on whether your children or the students get their meals in school, that's fine. If they carry packed lunch, make sure you pack enough food for them and drink as well. And it's always good to have a snack as well to take break time, even if they'll be having lunch. Then after coming home, after they have been to school, they come home in the evening. I know they'll be tired. They have had a long day in school. Without stressing them, it is good to ask the student, ask the child what they did in school. It is very important, and we say that when you encourage them by asking them what they did in school, and especially recalling from their memory, it helps in building their knowledge. I encourage this to be done in very relaxed manner. For me personally, what I do, it also depends with the size of your kitchen or your area of working or what you're doing. But after I've come from work myself, I'm tired. My kids have come from school, they're tired, especially when they were in primary school or even high school, and especially primary. I'll just be doing my work. Maybe I'm cooking, I'm washing up, and I always had a small table in the kitchen somewhere in the corner, and they would sit there and catch up with their work. I'm asking them what they did, and then they are telling me I'm doing my work, and themselves they're just seated there relaxed telling me. If they have got homework, they would catch up with their homework from there when I'm doing my work, and when they needed help, they would ask me, and I'll come in and help them in very relaxed manner. It didn't have to take a lot of time, maybe even half an hour is enough or even less. So it's very important to ask the children what they did in school when they come home, but in a very, very relaxed way so that they are not stressed up, they're already tired. And we continued and said that as well, it's good to catch up with the school when you talk with your child or the student under your care, as parent and guardian. If you notice that there's something that is not right or something causes concern, it's good to catch up with the school. Catch up with the school, whether it is a subject teacher or any other staff that is responsible depending on your area of concern, and try to have it looked at or resolved. Again, it is important to check the student or the pupil diary. If you have to sign it, you have to sign it anyway. There is always the parent or the guardian section to sign. Also check whether the form tutor or the class teacher or there are any comments that has been written on the school diary or the school report, so that you can address it. Because mainly this is another way that the school will communicate to you as a parent or guardian through the pupil or the student diary. So check, depending on the profession that the school that your child or the student under your care is attending. So it's good to check whether there are any comments that you need to address that has been written down by the staff or any other member of school where your student or your child is attending. We also emphasized, I'm reminding you about parent evening dates. Get to know them. Do not miss parent evening. And also for the children who are in boarding school, there are visit days that are there. Get to know which one they are. Do your best and attend. And again, I'm sure there'll be parent consultation days, specifically where you go to school, you catch up with the subject teachers, the school, the leadership at school, to get to know how your child or the student under your care is progressing. It's very important. And again, if I could come back to the students who are in boarding school, because they're not becoming everyday home. Maybe you see them when you go for parent consultation days or visiting days at school, or when they come home for half term or school holidays. Things have changed now. Technology has advanced. There are mobile phones. So you need to check with your school and the school policies. Are you allowed to talk to how often are you allowed to talk to your child who are in boarding school and far away from you? Are they allowed to talk to you maybe at some point during the day, weekend, if they have got mobile phone? Or is there such a facility? I don't want your child to be in trouble or yourself to be in trouble. You really have to know the school policy and inquire. Because if they're allowed to talk to you maybe on phone, if they have got their personal mobile, or in whichever way the school has provided this facility, then you need to know the best time to talk to your child and keep in touch. Keep in touch with the students, even those who are in boarding schools, because things have changed. Maybe for us when we went to school, because as I said, for my O-levels and my A-levels, I was in boarding school. We didn't have mobile phones by then. So, but things now have changed. So you need to be updated on that. If there are maybe use of mobile phones, you can talk with your child, because when you get in touch with your child, it motivates them, it encourages them, and things are getting better. Okay. Now, I need to emphasize here that when it comes to parents and guardians and how you could support your child or the student under your care, it really doesn't matter much which country you're in. All you need to do is do your best. What is available? What is available and what can you do? Because we are all under different situations, circumstances. We come from different parts of the world, and it is best to utilize the facilities that you have got. Do the best you can to support your child or the student under your care, whether they're in day school, whether they're in boarding school, and at whichever level of education, from very young children going all the way to teenagers, adolescents, young adults, even those who are in college or universities. Be involved as a parent or as a guardian is very, very important. And most of that, what I've just recapped now or I've explained, I've covered them in previous lessons that I've covered, especially on the lesson on how, as a student, you can make the best out of the day, and also on another video on changes in education, changes happening in education. So you can go back to my YouTube channel, Anna G. Kimani, and you get those videos there. And also the best thing, as I'm reminding you, is to subscribe so that you get updated, you know what I'm doing, what I'm covering. Okay, also as you subscribe there and as you watch my videos, remember to give me some likes. They really encourage me, and also comments if there are some areas that you would want me to cover when it's come to this topic on parents and guardians, how you could support your children going through education or students under your care. Just comment and I'll do my best and cover it or research into that, and we have some time to discuss it here. All right. The other area that I wanted us to look at here is, as a parent or guardian with a child or student under your care, you need to be more proactive. When you go for the parent evenings, for those of you who have got students going to day school or pupils going to day school, or you go to parent consultation day for those of you with children or students in boarding schools. Talk to the teachers, the subject teachers, get to know how your child is progressing, and don't forget to ask them, what can I do to help my child to move from this level to this level, or to get better in whichever area that they need improvement. Okay, I know students work at different abilities. Children have got different potentials, but they can all be boosted. They can all be improved. Without stressing them, they can be boosted, they can be improved. So you need to ask, are there any additional materials that the school could provide? Are there other additional materials that the school could provide, or even advise you on how to get them yourself? Is very important. And once you are told by your child subject teacher or class teacher, this is what you need to do, also make sure you're checking regularly your child or the students under your care work from school. See how they are progressing. And then I mentioned about being proactive. Once you see what they are doing, in case you go out and find something appropriate, some resources that are appropriate, try and get them. They don't have to be expensive, but try and get them. For example, if you happen to visit a library or a bookshop, and you see a nice book or a good book, a textbook, if it is on handwriting, on reading, simple maths, especially for the young children in rural primary school, then buy. For example, personally, when my children were young, I remember where we lived or where we were staying, there was a local post office, and the lady who owned that post office always brought very cheap textbooks, and they were quite cheap, and actually they were going for 99p, and I always check to see, because some of them are very good in handwriting, enhancing the handwriting, and also if it's simple maths, mental maths, I would buy, and then I'll practice that with my children, and it really helped, especially in laying that foundation for them when they were young. Also, ask your friends who have got children who have passed that stage in education. Ask them whether they have got some of these resources that they could either loan to you or give to you, and that will be very, very helpful. And now, something else I want us to talk about is reading, encouraging your child to read. Encourage your child to go to the library when they're in school and borrow books, storybooks or books that are available. I'm sure the staff in school, especially their English teacher, will encourage this, but also remind your child to do it as a parent and guardian. Again, are there local libraries that are available? Take your child from very young age. They have got all these books from early years all the way to high school, adolescents, and go and take your child or take the student under your care in education to the local library and borrow some storybooks, some novels, and encourage them to read a lot. And this is quite helpful as well. And when after reading, after they have either borrowed the storybook from the school library or from the local library in your area, or if they are given a storybook by a friend, or if you happen to buy from a shop yourself, after they read, encourage them to do a review of that book. Get an exercise book, buy them an exercise book, and then encourage them to write a review. Once they write the review about the book, here you are building their writing skills. And also, if you as a parent, you have got the knowledge, take whatever they have written and mark it with them, go through it with them, check the spellings, try to correct the spellings with them, check the punctuations, check the grammar. If you have got that ability as a parent and guardian, be involved in your child education or the student under your care education, and especially for from young age, because you start building them up. I'm not encouraging you to stress them up, but there's no harm in helping out. It's very important. And even if, as a parent or guardian, you haven't got that ability or that knowledge on how to mark the review with the student or the people under your care, just let them continue and do the review anyway. Because when they start practicing at home, it will translate to school. When they're doing the work in school, the teacher will pick up, and because when they go to school and do the schoolwork, because they have trained at home, the teacher will pick up maybe those words that they are not able to spell out, and then it will be corrected. But the knowledge is still being built up every day, all the time. And I remember where I'm encouraging you to be proactive as well as a parent or guardian or with your child education. I remember when my own children were small, when they started doing the multiplication tables and simple maths, I would go to the, as I told you, my local book post office. They were providing those books, and I'll buy some simple textbooks, and I would practice with my kids a lot. Simple. At times I'm doing my work and I'm asking them what is 4 multiplied by 3 and all that, and they're on the table doing their work. Also very, very relaxed, and that built their knowledge in maths, and they really did well in their GCSEs and A levels in maths. I'm talking of top grades, but it started from very young age. And again, when they are given these resources from school, especially on multiplication tables, you need to be involved as well. They are practicing in school, but as a parent, be involved as well. And to back up what I'm telling you, that you really don't have to have a lot of knowledge, especially when it comes to encouraging your child to read books and write the review. I'm going to read from a very recognized specialist in medicine, Dr. Ben Carson. He was a pediatric surgeon from a very recognized hospital or university in United States of America. And Dr. Ben Carson was being interviewed by a gentleman by the name Michael Hyatt. And this is what Ben Carson said about their mother encouraging them to read. I'll read it here. This is Michael Hyatt interviewing Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson said, "I was a terrible student," he admitted. "We didn't really take school that seriously. While he and his brother were home watching TV, his mom was out working several jobs. One of the things he noticed in the places where she worked as a domestic worker," he said, "is that wealthy people read a lot of books and didn't spend a lot of time watching television. Well, you guessed it, Mom decided to pull the plug of the television and sent Ben and his brother to the library. Their job was to read 2 books a week and submit written books reports to her. It was a gamble for their mother because, get this, she didn't know how to read. Her sons didn't know she was illiterate, but she would mark up their papers as if she could read them. And the brave actually worked. After a while, he started enjoying experience of reading, and it made all the difference in his life. Within a space of a year and a half, he said, I went from the bottom of the class to the top of the class. Based on his comment, it is clear reading helped Dr. Carson in at least 3 ways. It created new possibilities. We were desperately poor, he said, but between the covers of those books, I could go anywhere. I could be anybody. I could do anything. I began to know stuff that nobody else knew. Life wasn't narrow and confined to him any longer. Reading broadened his scope and allowed him to find new and beneficial opportunities. Number 2, it gave him a sense of urgency. Because of the reading, I began to see that the person who has the most to do with what happened to you is you, he told me. The experience of others in books, whether we are talking about biographies or novels or historical accounts, shows us that people choices have an effect. Decisions makes a difference. You can do anything you want to do, he told me. Don't just sit there and bemoan the fact that things aren't going well. Just use that circumstances to go where you want to go. Number 3, it changed his self-image. This is one of the most fundamental. He literally went from feeling stupid to feeling smart. It was a massive boost to his self-worth, and it shifted everything in his life. He was still in high school, but he started spending time at the university library and labs, at the local art museum, and local business, learning what they all had to offer. Okay, that was Michael Hyatt reporting on his interview with Dr. Ben Carson. So you see, and as parent and guardian, if you feel from whichever part of the world you're coming from, the resources that are provided in school are not enough. Because I said it depends, we all go through different experiences. Or if you haven't got local library that other students may have, depending on where they're coming from. Another maybe opportunity that you could create is you can come up with other parents or guardians who are sending the children to the same school with you, or local community, if there are different maybe primary school or high schools around. You come up together as parents and guardians and form a club. When you form a reading club, then you can try and buy books or borrow books from other people, and then you share. So you rotate and share, and this will benefit your children. And going back to my book, Parents and Guardians, how you can support your children through education. To you students, learn how to push those grades up, maximizing your child educational potential. As I told you, it's me who has written this book, Anna Kimani, by Anna Kimani. Try and get this book. I have covered a lot that maybe I might not be able to cover in the videos that I'm covering. Try and get this book. If you look under the video description, when I upload the video, on the description part, I'm going to put the link on how you could get hold of my book. Get it. It has got a lot of information. I have covered this in details, and it will be very helpful. And also it will be good if your child or the student under your care can be able to read the book themselves. Read it. You read it as a parent and guardian if you can, because it has got a lot of resources for you there to help you on how to give the best support. And also your students, the child under your care, encourage them to read the book as well. Okay, so we have covered that area on being proactive as a parent and guardian. with a child under your care. The next thing is we have spoken about borrowing books from the library. Another area that I wanted to comment on is do not ignore the extracurricular activities. Okay, the academic part of it is very important. The curriculum is very important. Again, do not ignore the extracurricular activities. I covered this in my last video when we looked at changes in education, and I covered there in a lot of details. I'm going to touch on it again. Some of these extracurricular activities may be covered in school or in the local sports club. So get to know what is available, and then make sure that a child or the student under your care is exposed to them, or it's participating in them, because you never know. Talents and gifts also take people to very high levels. Great achievers, whether it is even celebrities or geniuses and stars that have done very well, and especially in sports, they have come up from these clubs. We mentioned someone like Mo Farah. His talent in long distance learning was discovered by his physical education teacher, who helped to boost it. And you know that Mo Farah is a very recognized international sportsman. We also mentioned Nicola Adams. Actually, she's an international boxer, and the talent and this gift in boxing was discovered by the provider for her after-school club. So that's where she started practicing up to the high levels of being a celebrity when it comes to this sport, boxing for women. So another area that I wanted us to look at is on skills. We shouldn't ignore that. And whether there are skills that will be provided in schools through the subjects, they're in the timetable, or they have been timetabled as subjects, or there are skills that we practice at home. As a parent and guardian, make sure they are not being left out, and your child is growing all around in his education with all these skills. Academics are very important. Following the school curriculum is very important. But we cannot, education is all around. You can never say that a child can only do well in school and ignore all other areas that concerns the child. These skills, and as parents and guardians, if I could comment on them, because we are talking about home and how you can come in, like from home and even to school, there's some skills that the children need to be smart on. For example, woodwork. Depending on where your child is being brought up, especially those children who are brought up in farms, they need to know how to hold a hammer and how to hit that nail. Help out in building. You have got animals that need shed, fencing. As you do your work, go along with your child and let them learn this skill carefree as you're watching them. Again, cooking. There are some people who are doing very well in business, especially when it comes to cooking, because they learned it from home from very young age, and they are doing very well in business. And we said that, I remember in my first video, we said that it's not just education that can make you successful. There are so many other areas that one can build themselves in to become very successful. And we know that people, especially people who are very smart in cooking, they learned it from home from very young age. So you need to involve them in that. When it's come to, if you can afford to show them how to, the right pronunciation is how to sew, sewing. Let them know how to make their clothes in case they need that sewing part of it. It's just the other day that my young daughter, she's 12. I don't know what happened to her dressing gown. The pocket And I saw her go. She picked the box where we put the threads and the needles, and she put the needle in and she fixed it. And I checked it and it was perfect. To be honest, there's nothing else I needed to do. She had already fixed it herself. Hairdressing is another skill that can make a difference. Growing up, I grew up in a village, and we had a local shopping center, and we had some very smart ladies who are very good in braiding. I used to go there to have my hair done. And if there's something I regret today, is I wish I knew I could have, after I finished my O-levels or my A-levels, waiting to go to university, I could have gone there and practiced properly. Maybe enroll, even if it meant paying, and get to know how to do the braiding properly. Since then, I have learned how to do it, but I could have been more smart in that if I had gone and maybe spent a few weeks there and get to know how to braid the hair. And for those of you who are living maybe in Europe, or maybe Canada, USA, you know what I mean. You know it can be very expensive to have our hair done, especially braiding. So if your child has got the opportunity to learn how to do it, especially if that opportunity is there, let them learn that skill. You never know, it could be for their own hair. As the young girls get their own families, they get their own children, they can do it. They can do it on their girls' hair. Or it could be another way of making money. It can translate into business. And another area that I wanted to mention, especially for those who are living in farms, especially in the developing countries, encourage your child, and I know you're doing it anyway, I'm reminding you, especially to participate in farming. Even if I know most of the farms have got, they are close to the river. Even if it's dry season, you can still water the plants. And you never know, some of the very successful business men and women started right from their home. Let them learn the skills of it. They could put up those plants, whether it is tomatoes or peppers or whichever other form of farming, or keeping rabbits, chicken. It could be just as a hobby, and it could translate into business. And even if it doesn't translate into business, that food can be consumed at home. I'm emphasizing on this because I remember after I finished my sixth form, I noticed all my friends, there was some shoes, a fashion that had come up. We used to call them palm shoes, and I didn't have them. I still had my school shoes. So I was really, really admiring other girls who had them. And I asked my mom to buy for me. I just finished sixth form, now waiting to go to university. I asked my mom to buy for me, and she said no. And I knew my mom had money. I knew because I saw her giving other people money. And she didn't stop there. She just took me to our farm and showed me a certain portion of the garden and told me, you dig here and plant some tomatoes. And she bought for me the tomato seeds, and she helped me in making the seed bed, and then she told me, just do the rest yourself. And what I did is I watered the seed bed. When the seedlings were ready, I dug some holes on the portion that she had showed me. And then the compost was for some of you who come from hot countries or tropical countries, you understand coffee. For the coffee, there's the skin of the coffee. So when it dries up, you can use that as manure or as compost. And that's what I used. So I dug the holes and then put the manure from the coffee skin, and then I planted. And when it's come to watering, because the portion of the garden where I dug was quite far from the water, from where the water was, I had to carry the water using jerry cans with a wheelbarrow. And I did that with a lot of joy. I remember it was January, February, it was very hot, so I had to water them every day. And for sure, before I went to university, they were ready, they started ripening, and my mom was able to sell for me in the local market, and she gave me some money. I bought myself 2 pairs of palm shoes, black color and white color. Then when I went to university, I read them, the tomatoes, my mom continued selling, and by the time I came home, my mom had some good money for me. Actually, we shared the money, and I was able to buy some clothes that I used when I was at the university. And you see, some of it was consumed at home, and then it is translated into business. I was able to sell and bought whatever I needed. So, as parents, remember, education is all around, and we need to be very observant as parents and guardians, and make sure our children are getting trained all around in the academics, the curriculum, extracurriculum, vocational skills, other skills that can be provided at home, etc. And another area that I would want to maybe bring up to our knowledge is, as a parent and guardians, you need to really be observant and check whether there are some leadership skills that your child can be involved in, and encourage that. Leadership skills that are available, identify that and encourage your child. Because when it started from very young age, it developed with the time. And by the time they are coming to be responsible adults, whether they go into business and be self-employed, or whether they go to paid jobs, these leadership skills will help them. So identify that from school. Are there such opportunities? Maybe being a school a monitor or prefect. Not overdoing it, because they have to concentrate with their studies. But if such an opportunity arises, then encourage it. Are there some clubs that are available that they can get involved in? Like, I remember when my son was quite young, at the age of, let's say, 8, 9 years, he got involved with young people in parliament, and he enjoyed it. It even opened the opportunity for him to meet the local councillor, the local member of parliament, and he went all the way to the House of Commons because of that opportunity, and he was still in primary school. Also, I remember my daughter, when she was in class 5, still in primary school, she joined the writing club, and she was the school magazine editor, and she did very well in it. And apart from building her skill in writing, being the school magazine editor, when the magazines were ready and they went to sell them to other children, especially in the lower primary, nursery, reception, she would tell me that the children would go and tell her, because we were selling the school magazine for £1, and the children would tell her, I've got a 1p here. You know, the money they'll give her would be 1p. And she got the opportunity to teach these kids. Okay, they had their teacher, but she got the opportunity to tell them, no, this is 1p, the magazine is £1, this is how £1 look like. So ask your mom, dad to give you £1. And the children got to know. There was that interaction. And again, my other daughter, when she was in reception, believe it or not, she was a school council representative, where she listened to the views of the other children in class, and she represented them to the head teacher. Of course, every year group had a school representative in the council. And my young daughter started it in reception. And when she was only 5 years old. And it really helped her when it comes to leadership. And actually, one of the things is he campaigned for the school to be allowed to have more non-uniform days, where they could wear their home clothes and then pay some money, and then this money would go to charity. So there are all these opportunities available. So as a parent and guardian, get to know what is available in a very balanced manner, and let your child be involved in a very relaxed way, in a way that she will enjoy it, or he will enjoy it, but building their skills. Because you cannot exhaust education. It's all round. It's all round. Education is all round. And the young people from very young age to being young adults, and even as they grow up, they need to grow responsible in all areas. They can be able to attempt a lot in all areas. And reminding is Anna Kimani. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get or to keep being updated, because as you look at we are covering each topic, I'm referring back to what we covered. So if you have subscribed, then you'll be able to get all the updates and you'll be able to go back and check. You'll get the notifications. Remember to give me some likes and the comments. And I look forward to meet you next time, and goodbye. Thank you.